The world is about to change in some pretty radical ways. I've gone down a historical rabbit hole, if you will, studying the last 500 years of rising and falling empires. And let me tell you, the patterns, well, they're strikingly similar from the Dutch to the British to the US. Every time an empire went through major changes, it was a sign that the world order was about to be shaken up. In 1971, the United States ran out of money and defaulted on its debts. This was because the US government was spending way more money than it had in its gold reserves. President Nixon had to act fast as people started to rush to exchange their dollars for gold. He went on TV and he announced that the US would no longer honor the dollar's convertibility to gold. Essentially, we were defaulting on our obligations. The world of money was about to change forever. Everyone expected the stock market to fall the next day, but it soared. You ready? 25%. It blew my mind. I dug into the history books and discovered the same thing happened in 1933 with the same market reaction. That's when it hit me. When governments are in a pinch and they need more money, they'll print more money. And that's the time to buy stocks, gold, commodities, because their value will rise while paper money's value falls. Look, this lesson has repeated itself time and time again from 2008's financial crisis to the 2020 pandemic. To truly understand what's coming, you must look back at what has just happened. The key principle set me down, again, a historical rabbit hole, studying the rise and falls of these empires and their reserve currencies over the past 500 years. In recent years, three major red flags have prompted me to do this deeper dive. First, countries are drowning in debt because interest rates were rock bottom. Second, the wealth gap creates serious internal conflicts and political polarization. Third, tensions between rising and established world powers like China and the US are reaching a boiling point. Now, I could throw a bunch of stats and numbers and charts, but to keep this engaging, let me break it down in a more relatable way. Just like how people go through life cycles of birth, growth, maturity, and decline, empires do the same thing. And just like how a doctor can estimate a person's lifespan by looking at their vital signs, we can diagnose an empire's health and longevity by examining key indicators like education, innovation, competitiveness, economic output, share of world trade, military strength, financial power, and reserve currency status. By tracking these indicators, we can see which stage of a country's empire life cycle it is in and anticipate what's likely to happen next. For instance, the US and China are neck and neck in economic output and world trade, which is a classic sign for a brewing power struggle. As empires reach their peak and they tend to get too comfortable, they start enjoying the fruits of their successes a bit too much, and productivity slips. Meanwhile, rival powers are busy copying their technologies and methods, slowly chipping away at their competitive edge. This is exactly what happened with the Dutch and British empires. See, the Dutch got way too cozy during their golden era, and the British swooped in with cheaper labor and copied Dutch ship designs. Before you know it, the British, I'm sorry to say it, were top dog, and the Dutch were old news. Now fast forward to today, and we see the US grappling with some of the same challenges. Rival powers start getting bold and challenging weakened empires, and internal conflicts boil over. Populist movements emerge, with the left demanding wealth redistribution, and the right, well, they're digging in their heels to protect the status quo. But here's the thing, no empire gives up its spot at the top without a fight. It's a tale as old as time. However, look, we can learn, right, from history and make the changes needed to extend an empire's lifespan. It all comes down to two simple things: earning more money than we spend and treating each other well. Of course, there's a lot of factors that contribute to these goals like strong education, innovation, competitiveness, but at the end of the day, it's about making tough choices and working together. Anyway, that's the story of how the world works and how we can navigate the challenges ahead. I hope this helped and you recognize where you are and what must be done to thrive in the changing world order. Change is only constant, right? It's the only constant. So let's evolve and adapt together.